Who wants to do some guesses? What's the width of your locker? This is like my favorite day of the year when you guys tell me, my locker is 75 inches wide. Gurmuk. 1 foot? Not bad. 1 foot. In case anybody cares, Abby lockers are 13 inches wide. So he is pretty darn good guess. Ekti. 30 centimeters. Excellent. That is pretty darn close. Nice job, because 30 centimeters is approximately a foot. Height of your desk. Who wants to tell me the height of their desk, what they think their desk is tall? I know exactly how tall Abby desks are. So these look pretty close. Who has a guess for the height of their desk? Wait, don't tell me. I'm cheating. I don't have you. I don't have this whole row. Damn it. Who are you again? Yes. Okay, hit me. How tall is your desk? 30 inches. Not bad, not bad. That's a pretty good guess. And in SI? 60 centimeters. Okay. Our desks at Abbey are 34 inches tall, which is just a little under a yard and a little under a meter. So good guess here. Not so hot a guess there. 60 centimeters, pretty short. Length of the pencil. Now, obviously, this is going to be different for everybody, but go ahead. Who has a pencil for me? No one? No one wants to guess the length of the pencil that is in their hand right now? Go. 8? Probably not bad if it's a fairly new pencil. I'm glad no one's using one of, there's always a kid in the class using a pencil this long. Drives me up the wall. What about a guess in SI? $15? Oh, my pen died again. Do you know how much I love technology? It's my favorite thing in the world. $15 centimeters. All right. Who has a guess for the length of an ant? Now, this is always fun. Somebody says, well, there's giant ants in South America, and then there's little tiny ants here. Ekti. 2 millimeters? That's a pretty tiny ant, but I would agree with that. That's fine. What do you think we measure them, things like that in, oh, I did this backwards, sorry. The 2 millimeters is over here. What do you think we measure really tiny stuff in imperial? Because it doesn't go smaller than an inch, does it? That's why I put the ant on there. What do you think they use? Does anybody have a guess? Because an inch-long ant is like that long. If that was crawling up my leg, I'd already be gone. I'd just run out of here, and you guys would have to be like, what happened to him? Oh, there was an inch-long ant crawling up his leg. You'd have to tell Mr. Newton. So if that's the smallest measurement in imperial, how do they measure things smaller than that? What do they use? Does anybody know? Because they don't have millimeters. Ekti? Yeah, they cut down their inches. In what? Decimals or fractions? Fractions. So you got to know, if you're going 2 millimeters, 2 millimeters, that's pretty tiny. That's like 1/8 of an inch. So you do still have to know your fractions. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Height of a giraffe depends if it's a boy or a girl. Boy giraffes are bigger. Have any of you ever watched YouTube video of giraffes fighting? You laugh, Andrea, right? You laugh, Andrea. But giraffes fight like bosses. Holy crap. You guys should see giraffes fighting. If we have some time, I will show you YouTube video giraffes fighting. If we have time today. It's hardcore. You wouldn't think so, because giraffes are all like, hey, I'm chill, right? And they're also dirty. One time I was at a zoo with my wife, and the giraffe put its head over the fence and it licked my wife's ear. My wife's pretty hot, so, right. This is what she looks like. That's my wife. Oh, you can't see her very well. Right there. I know, right? But I mean, really, look at me. Why wouldn't I get a hot wife, right? I mean, honestly, right? So you guys are going to see this picture a lot this year. You should know who everyone is. That's my daughter. Do any of you remember the Walmart commercial where the kids were singing about going back to school? My daughter's in it. She was the leader of the group. That's my dog, Cooper. That's my son surfing. That's my daughter surfing. That's all three of us jumping off a dock. That's two of us in a cave. That's my son and me. He's smiling because right about here is his ass. Because we were on a beach all summer and his whole body, you can't see it in the picture very well, but it was about the same color as Amaranth, except his ass still looked like that white. So it was a pretty funny picture, but I didn't want to put his ass on the screen so everybody could see it. And my son's like, Dad, why you put my ass on your screen? That'd be awesome. I'm like, I can't, son. You're like 9. I get in trouble. And then this one, I'm piggybacking them there. And the reason they're both so happy and smiling is because my son has just farted in my face. That's why my head's over here. I was carrying them. And sometimes, you guys know that. Sometimes when you get pushed on your tummy, you fart. I don't know. Maybe you don't, but my kid did. So I picked them both up. I put them on my shoulder. They started walking. And St. John, that's my son, he says, Dad, I'm going to fart. I say, don't you fart. I'm going to fart. Don't fart. Ah! And then that's why they're laughing. And that's me coming out of a cave. Look how tiny it is. My daughter got stuck in that cave. We found a really skinny hole, and she was like, Dad, I want to go down there. It's like, Beth, you can't go down there. She said, I can go down there, Dad, I can fit. All right, fine, go ahead. So she went down there, and she's like, Dad, yeah, I'm stuck. There's a room in here. There's lots of room. So why can't you get out? I can't turn around, Dad. Whatever. So I had to crawl in and get her. And then I got stuck. Because, so I had to do this. Are you ready? I had to go and blow out all my air. So I was a little bit skinnier. And then I was able to get through. And then I got into the room, which when this happened, she was 8. So she wasn't very big. So her idea of a lot of room and my idea of a lot of room are pretty different. So I got in there and we had to get her turned around. And I got her to go back out. And then I had to go out. And I'd do the same thing. I'd stuck again. And then you had to crawl with no air. But I got out. As you can see, I'm here. I'm okay. But it was kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. But when you're a dad, you can't be scared for the kid, right? You can't be like, oh, no, we're stuck in this cave and we'll never get out, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen. But we're okay. We're going to bigger caves in August in California. That was a long bit of wasted time. Height of a giraffe. How tall is a giraffe? Anyone know? Average male giraffe is about 18 feet tall. Now I'm running out of space. 18 feet. How many meters? He's about 5 meters tall. The length of the gym I don't care about. Because it's a basketball court long. See how I did that? All right. Here's my coffee cup. How might you measure this circumference? What could you use to measure that? Wait, don't tell me. I have it written down, so I'm cheating. Akash. You could do pi r squared, but then you would have to measure the r, right? So cool. You could measure the radius, and that would get you that. Excellent. Does anybody have another way they could do it? Isaac. Yeah, you could take a flexible tape and wrap it around. Exactly. That's a good one. What else? What if I only had a ruler? You could do pi d, right? because you could still measure across, absolutely. Oh, I should be writing all this down. Pi d, you could use pi r squared. You could use, pi r squared would get you the area. 2 pi r would get you the, right? Sorry, yeah. 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Isaac had the flexible tape. Okay, can anybody think of another way to do it? I only have a ruler, and I'm not letting you do math. Almost nobody gets this one. I like this one, though. I could take my cup, I could put it on the ruler, and I could roll along. Yeah? How many of you guys have seen that yellow stick thing that you use to measure? You'll know it if you see it. Don't care about the door in my toaster oven. I like this question, though. How might you actually measure the distance from the school office to this room? Give me some ideas. Germac. How many steps it takes you. Is that going to be an accurate measurement for me? Just asking. If you tell me how many steps it takes you to get there, is that an actual measurement? No. But you could count your steps. Absolutely right. What's wrong with counting your steps? People have different sized legs, and even your steps could change every little bit, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's a way you could measure it. Absolutely right. Who's got another way? Isaac. Fitbit. Yeah, okay. I had to. See, because I'm fat and old, so Fitbit, you can see my wrist is well empty of anything like that. I don't need to be told I'm fat and don't exercise enough. I live in North America. I already know. Good, yes, a Fitbit. What else could you use? None of you can think of a way to measure a distance from here to the office. Brooklyn. You could take a meter stick. Excellent. Where does that cause trouble? Misplacement, absolutely. And what about going around corners? Right? Because everybody cuts the corners, don't they? You should always walk in the right, but how many people really do? When the hallway's empty, how many of you have smashed into somebody coming the other way? Right? Because you cut the corner. You go over on the left and they're on the right. You bash into each other. I used to try and do it on purpose because I was a dink. Or if there was a girl walking around the corner, if you could hear heels, I would always walk over the side so we would bump into each other. It was a bad move. I didn't get my first girlfriend until grade 10. Like the end of grade 10. Grade 8, 9, and almost all of grade 10 until I got a girlfriend. So don't listen to my moves from high school for meeting girls. But since grade 10, I've never been single. So eventually it starts working. But the bumping into them in the hallway, not good. Don't try that one. They don't like it. Sid, knee. You could use the rolly thing, right? It's called a trundle wheel. You roll it along and it clicks every meter. Excellent. That's a really good way to do it, right? Because it follows you. If you're cutting the corner to try and bump into girls, you could... and girls, if you were cutting the corner to try and bump into boys. But I don't want to make any assumptions here. Maybe you want to bump into other girls. Maybe boys want to... It's okay. But yeah, you could use a trundle wheel. What else? Anybody got another way they could do it? Those are pretty good. You guys are actually thinking about things. And I'm very surprised about that with summer. And we've already done this. We can measure with a lot of different tools. We already talked about that. My pen's not working again. Piss off. Frustrating today. All right. Okay, now here, this is important. On page 14. This is what I was talking about with... I can't remember who said it when we were talking about the ants, right? Because this is inches. Now, if you do anything to do with construction in Canada, even though we're metric, you still got to use imperial measurements. We always do. Every one of your parents knows the square footage of your house. right? When you watch all those home reno shows, they measure in inches and feet still. That's how we still measure in the construction industry in Canada. Here's something that's weird, though. My buddy is a contractor. He went over to Europe, and he did a bunch of work over there, and they don't measure in inches and stuff. They use decimeters and hectometers and things like that. So for him, it was a real pain. But we still use this. But a lot of people cannot read a tape measure anymore. And I want to make sure that we cover this well. It's bigger than it is. And I'm going to zoom in on it so it's even bigger for you guys. Here is 1. Now you can quite plainly see that 1 has been divided into chunks. Yes? Now normally when we count numbers, what do we divide the space between 0 and 1 into? Pardon? Quarters? We do money in quarters. Biaz. Pardon? 12? Yeah, you're looking up that, but I'm asking normally. Like if I'm counting, let me give you an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Between 5 and 6, what do we like to use? 0.5. We like to use decimals, yes? So we like to break it down into how many chunks? How many spaces are there between 4 and 5 if I'm using 1 decimal place? If I have, 4 to 5, and I break this into 1 decimal place, how many spaces are there? 5? Isaac? 2? Wow. There's 10. Right, guys? 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, right? There's 10. Now look here. Biaz said, but there's not 10 there. And this is where kids screw up reading tape measures. You want to do decimals because you guys are comfortable with decimals. What do you hate? Fractions. How many of you hate fractions? You can be honest. I've taught math for 18 years. I know how many hands go up for this. You all hate fractions. Unfortunately, we still use them a lot. So look at this. Now, Biaz said it's split into 12. It's not quite split into 12. It's actually split into 16, which is frustrating because 16 doesn't work as a decimal. But it works real well as a fraction. So when we look at this, what is this spot right here? It's 0.5, except we aren't using decimals. Because if we're doing decimals, this would be broken into 10 chunks, wouldn't it? So I can't say it's 0.5. What do I have to say it is? Because I'm not allowed to use decimals when I'm measuring in inches. 1/2. Excellent. So what then does that make this spot right here, which is 1/2 of a half? Yeah, 3/4. Excellent. So these black ones are 1/4 and 3/4. And you will notice on your sheets, and I shouldn't have written it, I shouldn't have done what I did. I should have done it this way. The longest one is 1/2. The next longest ones are quarters. So what is this one? What's 1/2 of a quarter? 1/8. So there's an 1/8. So that makes this 7/8. And then what's the tiniest little one? What is it? 1/16. So there, and I didn't want it blue. I wanted it to be green. 1/16. Now here's where fractions screw us up. You guys often forget how fractions work. So you're perfectly happy to tell me that the tiniest tick on a tape measure is 1/16, which means 2 of them is 2/16, right? But you got to remember that 2/16 equals 1/8, right? And then 2/8 equals 1/4. 2/4 equals 1/2. And there goes my pen dying. So I want you guys to try and fill in all of these 5 with the right fraction. Okay? Oh, my pen woke up. You go ahead and try that. I'm going to erase these so they're not in your way because you guys have all written them down. So you guys try to fill in these 5 with the correct fraction. I got to zoom back out. I forgot I was zoomed in so you couldn't see all that stuff. I'll wait a moment and let you try and figure it out. And remember, because it's imperial, it has to be fractions. So what's this first guy? Who has an answer for me? One quarter. What about the second guy? I'm hoping that the 1/4 will show up in a second. There it is. What about this guy? 11/16. Absolutely correct. What about this guy? It's 1, and then how many more? 3/8. Excellent. This guy? 2 13/16. And the last guy? 3 7/16. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah? Okay. So let's come down to this lower one. What's different about the bottom tape measure? What's different about this guy down here? It's got inches and centimeters. Now, centimeters are metric, SI, which means they're counted the smart way, which is what? Decimals, because it's broken down into groups of 10. All of metric is tens, yes? So here, I'm going to use decimals, aren't I? So what is this first one? 11 point what? 4. Excellent. What's this one? 13. That was an easy one. What's this one? 16.7. Cool. Now, do this bottom one, but you have to look closely because it's a trick. Go. Fill in those 4 numbers. Oops. Sorry, guys. What did I do differently on the bottom one? How did I try to mess with your mind? Who's got a number for me for the first one? 4 5/8. What about this one? 5 1/2. What about this one? 6 7/8. 7 1/4. Excellent. What did I do down there that was different? The inches were split into what? Eighths. How did you know that, Brooklyn? Because you can see that it's only 8 pieces, right? Everybody with me? You got to watch out for stuff like that. Now, your next page is a worksheet that I get kids to do in my regular class because we have more time. I'm not going to make you guys do that. Not going to make you do either of them, actually. So we are going to turn to page 17. Now, this page right here has all of the conversion stuff that you need. Okay? It doesn't have every conversion. It has common ones. All right? So I want to take a second to do something over on the over here on the right. I want to make sure you guys are aware of something. What's the smallest metric measurement that we use? Millimeter, mm. Then centimeter, then decimeter, then meter. Now, that works with every metric thing, right? Could be liters, could be grams, could be anything that we use. Milli, centi, deci, all works. And then we go up to decameter, which is DA meter, hectometer, and kilometer. I want to make you guys aware of how this works. Remember, when I go up, the measurements are getting bigger, yes? But what happens to the number? Here's what I mean. If I have 1,000 millimeters, what happens as I go up the scale? How many centimeters is that? 100 centimeters. How many decimeters is it? 10 dms. And how many meters is it? 1. So how many decameters is it? 0.1. How many hectometers? 0.01. And how many kilometers? 0.001. Because when I go up, I have to divide. Everybody with me on that? It's weird. It doesn't make sense because when we go up, we want the numbers to get bigger, don't we? So that messes up a bunch of people. So please be careful with that. Same thing, you're smart kids. If going up the scale divides, what does going down the scale do? Multiply. So if I have 10 kilometers, how many hectometers do I have? 100 hectometers. How many decameters? How many kilometers? Or how many meters? Sorry, 10,000. And then 100,000. And then 1,000,000. And then 10 million. Now, in math class, I got to give you problems like this because we're in math class. In reality, I live 32 kilometers from here. Would I ever tell you that I live 32 million millimeters from here? No, because that's idiotic, isn't it? But in math class, I'm going to make you do questions like that. Everybody understand? Just to show me that you understand it, right? We would never say that. I'm 177 centimeters tall. I would never say, I'm 170 or 17,700 millimeters tall. No, because that's stupid. That's a math class question. Math teachers love to give them. I don't. I give a few to make sure you get it. And then otherwise, I try to keep it as real life as possible. Okay? But I will mess with your head a bit. All right, so everybody's comfy with metric. Good. So now let's talk about conversions. Now, please notice we are converting units within systems. That means we are staying SI to SI or imperial to imperial. We'll talk about how to go between them next lesson. So this is what we need. So we're going to stay in all metric or all imperial. There's a couple of things on here I want to make you guys aware of. This situation. An imperial ton, T-O-N, is 2,000 pounds. But an SI ton is T-O-N-N-E. It's 1,000 kilograms. Even though they're the same word, they're spelt differently. I want you guys to be aware of that. You may want to write that down on this sheet here. So, when we are doing any conversion, and this is really useful, what I'm about to show you guys. It works in chemistry class. It works in the grocery store when they try and sell you a big box of something for a price. And I'll give you a real life example of this. Back when Target was still open, I had to drive to Washington and I was going to go surfing. It takes about 7 hours to get there. And it was late in the day that I was leaving, like 4 o'clock. What do you always want to do around 4 o'clock? Maybe not you guys because you're young. I always want to take a nap. I don't know about you guys, but afternoons are tough for me. And I've taught high school a long time. Last block, there's a lot of you. Right? I'm no different. So I was super sleepy. So I wanted to get some energy drinks because I had to drive. So I went to Target and I went to the energy drink section and they had one energy drink was on sale for $2.50. I could get one 5-hour energy drink for $2.50, right? So how many would 4 of them be? $10, absolutely right. There was no sign about it, okay? Right beside the single energy drinks, there was a big display. 4 packs of energy drinks, $11.99, with a big sign and a poster. I watched 4 people walk up, look at the singles, look at the 4-pack, and buy the 4-pack. Yeah, because people don't understand math. Put a big poster up, everyone's like, ooh. It's the same as you go buying 20 kilos of mayonnaise at Costco. Oh, it's such a good deal. Use 3 scoops and throw out the whole bucket. Right? I couldn't believe it. I even said to the guy, I said, what the hell? He's like, yeah, I know. I don't know. They just tell us what to put up. So how many people buy the pack? Almost everybody. People can't multiply by 4? No. You guys all could. You wouldn't be fooled. But you also notice who's out of business. Target. So maybe it's because a lot of them couldn't do math. So here's how you convert everything. You take a measurement, what you have, your measurement, and you multiply it by the following fraction. What you want over what you have. Okay? And I'm going to show you what I mean in this first one. Now remember, in metric, it's super easy because you just move the decimal, yes? But I don't want you guys to do that little trick. I want you to see actually what's happening. So what's the measurement that I have? I have 485 centimeters. I want to change it to meters. So the measurement that I'm starting with is 485. Everybody cool? Then I got to multiply that, what I want over what I have. Well, what do I want? Meters. And what do I have? Centimeters. Right? So now I go up to my chart and I see that 1 meter is how many centimeters? 100. Then I multiply this fraction. What's 485 times 1? 485 over 100. And then I can do my decimal to get 4.85 meters. Is everybody cool? Okay? It's real easy in metric because you already knew it was 4.85, yes? So let's change over and let's do that with imperial, which is a little harder. So what's the measurement that I am starting with in number 2 here? 57 inches, yes? And I want to go to feet. So I got to multiply by feet, because that's what I want, over inches. Now, where do I get the numbers here? I go up to my chart. 1 foot is how many inches? 12, right? So what do I get? I end up with 57 over 12. What math is that? What math is 57 over 12? Division. So I go to my calculator and I go 57 divided by 12. What's wrong with that answer? Oh, you guys can't see that answer. What's wrong with that answer to this question? Wait, don't tell me. Jessica and I don't remember. Don't tell me. No, it's Simran. It's a decimal. Why is that wrong? Imperial, there's fractions. They don't use decimals. So when I go to my calculator, I get 4.75 feet, correct? It's not the right answer. It's 4 3/4 of a foot, isn't it? What is 3/4 of a foot? What are feet broken down into? Twelfths. So I need the 3/4 that equals blank twelfths. What is it? How do I solve that maneuver? What do I do with 3/4 to find out how many twelfths it is? Pardon? I was about to say that. As well, once I showed this. So what is it? What is 4.75 feet really? 4 feet, 9 inches. Right? Everybody cool? So what happens with 15 yards? I'm starting with 15 yards, and I want feet. So feet goes on top, yards goes on the denominator, 3 feet, 1 yard. Then I do my math. What's the answer? No. Because I got to multiply across here. Remember, 15 is over 1. So 15 times 3 is 45. 1 times 1 is 1. 45 divided by 1 is 45 feet. Okay? Don't get trapped looking for shortcuts because then you do the wrong thing. You go ahead. The reason I'm writing it all out, Akash, is because it will work for everything. Like right now, it's always multiply or divide, right? And it's always an easy number. But when we have to go from centimeters to feet, then there's weird decimals involved, and you need to know the actual math because you got to go to your calculator, right? But right now, yeah, do whatever shortcut you need. But when you, like in chemistry and stuff, you got to do this a lot, right? If you're planning on going into nursing, you got to do this all the time because you get medicines based on a person's body weight. Right? You got to give 1 milliliter for every 10 kilograms they weigh. And you got to do this type of stuff all the time. So 136 inches to yards. So what am I starting with? 136 inches and I want to go to yards. So I need inches. No, I want yards. So yards goes up top. Inches goes on the bottom. Now here, you look on your chart. Do you have that? Do you have that on your chart? You got it right here, yeah? So, what's going right here? One yard is how many inches? 36. So that's going to be 136 divided by 36, right? Because we don't care about the 1. So I got 136 divided by 36, but that gives me a problem answer, doesn't it? Why? 136 divided by 36, what does that give me? Gives me a problem, right? So what do I got to do? Be honest. Oh, jeez, it's feet. See how old I am? Thank you. So it's 3 feet, but it's still 136 divided by 3. That doesn't give me a problem answer. What does that give me? It gives me a problem answer, but it's not as complicated an answer. What is it? My pen's not working. We got to wait a minute. 136 divided by 3. That's a problem answer because it's 45.33 yards. Why is that not okay? Oh, I'm off the screen. Why is that not okay? This should be the only day we care. You guys need to tell me if it's not on the screen. I should have it fixed tomorrow. What's wrong with that answer? It keeps going forever, and it's a decimal. We're an imperial, aren't we? What is 0.333 forever as a fraction? 1/3. So this is 45 and 1/3, isn't it? What's 1/3 of a yard? 1 foot. So it's 45 yards, 1 foot. Does everybody understand that? This is where most kids have the problem when they are dealing with imperial. They want to leave it as decimals, and they forget that it's not based in 10. Okay? This question is going to show you what I mean. I've got 2,116 inches, and I'm actually paying attention instead of talking to you guys and telling stories. 2,016 inches, and I want to go to feet. So what goes in the numerator? Feet. In the denominator, I get inches. It's 1 foot to 12 inches. So it's 2,016 divided by 12, yes? And what happens when you do that? You get 168 exactly, yes? Everybody cool? Easy peasy, right? What would we have to do if we had a decimal there? What if I had 168? Don't write this down. If I had 2022, I'm going to change color there. If I had 2022 times 1 over 12, I would get 168.5, yes? Everyone agree? Now, I want this in feet. Here is where we get to a problem. A great many of you will tell me on your test that that's 168 feet and 5 inches. Is it? No. Why? Brooklyn. Because half a foot isn't 5 inches. Everybody see that? Okay, you got to remember when we're dealing with imperial, it's not the smart way. It's not decimals. Hey, Mr. Breach. Very well. Everyone is here, but I didn't get a new copy. I got just, that's the only one I have. And I went to my mailbox.
So is it all right?
No one's away.
Okay, here's what we'll do. If you give me that, I'll make a photocopy of it.
Okay.
Get that one back to you.
That guy just arrived. He wasn't on my list.
Yeah, so he'll be on your MyEd starting.
He'll be on my
Yeah.
Are we doing my ed?
Yeah.
We're doing it this year.
Yeah, your attendance should be available.
Okay.
This is just for the 17 hours.
Okay.
So, but you can go into MyEd and do your attendance.
Okay.
So I'll copy this, I'll bring this back.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks. So what's this last one? Why is this last one written weirdly? What's weird about number 6? I'm going straight to feet, which is a big, this is one of those stupid math class ones, right? You would never measure 4 miles in feet, right? I got to drive 4 miles. I'm going to drive 20,000 feet. No, you wouldn't ever do that. But what else is weird about it? What's weird about that? It's got a decimal. Because, for some strange reason, people like to use decimals when they get up bigger in imperial. Even there. But, even though it's written weirdly, we don't change what we do. We want feet, so it's feet over miles. 1 mile is how many feet? It's written on the sheet. 5,280. So I multiply that and I get a big giant number. (4.2) times 5,280. 22,176 feet. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is a math class question, isn't it? Right? I would never say that I'm driving 22,000 feet. So, you guys have page 18, 19, and 20 to work on right now. And then you are not going to do 21. And you can work together on stuff, it's no problem. You're going to do 18 and 19 and 20 right now until our break, which is at when is that first break?